Hey everybody, how are you today? Matt Johnston here, teaching you how to make more money with video. As always, I'm excited to be here to talk about something that I have been using since the iOS 14 changes. And maybe we should just stop talking about iOS 14. Maybe we should just say the way Facebook is now. Testing creatives has gotten extremely difficult because Facebook, the algorithm only pushes the budget to one or the other. If you have many in one ad set, it can only push the budget to one. Dynamic creative not always working as well. And of course, in order to test dynamic creative in the right way or use it in the right way for testing, you need to be able to have enough budget behind it. The audience needs to be big enough, etc., etc., etc. To be honest with you, these days, when I'm working with a decent sized audience, like a few million or up, which I'm always working with these days, unless I'm in local businesses, but you could try this for local as well. I am using this method, which I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to take you over my shoulder. We're going to go into Ads Manager, and I'm going to show you how I do this. And it's a relatively simple process of just simply putting them in their own ad sets. And you may basically think that they're basically overheating people, and I promise you that is not what's happening. So at the most base level, what's happening here is you have your you have your campaign at the top. Whoops, this isn't working too great. There we go. You have your campaign at the top. You can tell I'm not writing with my pen. I'm writing with a mouse. Why am I not writing with my pen? I'm not really sure. Why don't we write with the pen? You have your campaign at the top, and then underneath you have an ad set, right? And then underneath that ad set, you have your creatives, right? And most people dump their creatives down there to test them. But you'll find that the budget only moves to one of them and barely tries the other ones. And it might not necessarily mean that that's the best one. So you need to, as I'm saying with most things these days on Facebook ads, you need to do more things manually. So what I'm going to teach you to set up here briefly in this short tutorial is just simply how to start at the campaign level and then break out each of your creatives into an ad set, its own ad set with its own budget, so that with one creative inside, so that you can get really good testing data. You can really see what's working. And I have used this for top of funnel. I have used this for bottom of funnel. I've used this for middle of funnel. And it works really well across the board. So if we go back into Ads Manager here. So I'll just create this campaign here, conversions campaign. And let's just say it's creative testing. You like my new mechanical keyboard? Very clicky. Okay, so we've got our campaign, and I'm going to turn campaign budget optimization off because I need ad set budget optimization for this video, for this test. And we're going to use the same audience. I mean, I do this for small audiences as well. You pick your conversion event, purchases, whatever, and let's just say we want $50 a piece on there to test them. And what's important here is it needs to be exactly the same audience. Turn off that expansion, and we're not gonna, this isn't a video about targeting, but let's just say that we picked some very small demographic, or here we go, we'll just pick Russell Brunson. I don't know why, because he's super famous. Everybody loves him. So 521,000 people like him. So we're going to get a sense for what this audience is most interested in. Automatic placements, all this stuff. These days, I mean, I'm keeping it on 7-day click for the most part, but 7-day click or 1-day view is what some people would recommend. I have not done enough personal testing to recommend anything. But what you want to make sure is that it's all the same. If it's top of funnel, I highly recommend excluding page engagers, right? So we're not going to deal with it right now, but that's how I would set it up. And you, up here on the ad set name, you would say the targeting, right? And then you've got to say the creative then. So let's say this is the big video post or something, because each ad set's going to be its own video. Okay. Then under the ad set, you're going to say the same thing, big video post, and whatever. Turn this. I don't know why it always has that on by default. You don't want any other variables in this, right? It defaults to a carousel for some reason. All sorts of random stuff here. Wants it to be a catalog. So yeah, so the text, like all that stuff, I mean, you can do what you want. I mean, basically, as you know, with testing, the less variables you have, the more results the easier it's going to be to read your results from your testing. So you could have the same primary text on every creative or whatever. But the basic idea is this is one creative, right? This is just one creative. Okay. So you'd have all this in here, etc. Put in your website URL, all of that. And I'll just put in one so it accepts the ad. Okay. And then I put in, I have a video on UTM parameters where I have this string to put in here so that you can read them very easily in Google. Did I forget a period there? No, I didn't. It's the URL you entered. Yeah, looks like everything's fine. Okay, so the big thing here is you're going to take, if you want to test, you're not testing the Russell Brunson audience, right? This is to test the creative. So you're going to take this Russell Brunson audience and use it. So you'll just do Control D when you're clicking on it, or you can go to the three buttons and quickly duplicate. I always use Control D, and then you would just rename it again. So this might be 3-second GIF. And you'd make sure you've duplicated that ad set. You make sure that everything else is exactly the same. Sometimes it likes to turn detailed targeting expansion back on. I'm happy to see that it didn't do that this time. And then you'll go into this and you will change that 3-second GIF, and you'll do whatever. So you'll then have that creative, and you can just break this out. You can do it again, right? And all those different things, right? Russell Brunson, third creative, whatever. So once you have those in there, it's ABO. So you see they have $50 a day budgets on each one of these. So it's going to be able to test them individually. Are we worried that people are going to get different ads? They're going to see one ad and they're going to see another ad and we're going to hit them over the head and my frequency is going to go up and I'm going to lose. No, that's not how it works. There are so many people in these audiences, right? Even if it's middle of funnel or bottom of funnel, people are seeing so many ads. They're going to respond to what they're going to respond to. Okay? All we're trying to do here, people forget that we're advertising to other human beings. And what we're trying to do when we're testing is we're trying to analyze human behavior, really. So this is the best way to do it. You want to do it super manually. And I highly recommend ad set budgets across the board right now, but I recommend them for this. And because since the audience is completely constant and the objective is constant, it's really going to be hitting that same sort of person, though likely not a high frequency, but that same sort of person with these creatives. And I'll run them for a few days and see. One of the rules of thumb that you're probably wondering, how long should I run these for? General common knowledge says 6,000 to 8,000 impressions on an ad before you decide to turn it off. Now, that being said, attribution sucks right now, and it's very delayed. So you might want to always wait. If you're going to make a decision about an ad set, and you're like, I'm ready to do it, you might want to say, okay, let's give it 72 hours, and then I'll do it, just to see what happens. Because in my experience over the past 6 months, that's what's been happening. We've turned off stuff that has just had a delayed attribution, and then it showed up like, oh, why did we turn that off? So you want to get into it. What this allows you to do is really test these creatives. And you can leave this on because it works to that audience. You can break it out, do some audience testing with that creative to similar stuff. But really, you're starting to understand the human behavior of your audience on Facebook and Instagram ads, which is super, super important. Okay, if you got value from this video, I would love to have you as a subscriber on the channel. Bonus points if you notice that I'm wearing a hat that shows how much of a nerd I am. And I hope you're gonna. I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and